My name is Rachel van der Kooijen and I am a journalist here in Suriname. Yes, I am part of the Afro-Surinamese population group. It's one of the 6 population groups in Suriname. We have Japanese, we have Hindistanis, we have Chinese, we have Dutch people, we have, yes, some Haitians, we have Brazilians. And if I look at my own population group, then I see that we need all of the other population groups. In fact, we have Amerindians also, and in fact, we were after the Amerindians, they are the indigenous people, and after them, the Negroes came to Suriname. And after them, all the other population groups came to Suriname. And if I look at our condition here in Suriname, then all the other population groups who came after us to Suriname are above us. Because merely Afro-Suriname, merely in prison. The Merely population in the psychiatry center is Afro-Surinamese. Merely of the homeless people are Afro-Surinamese. Merely of the drug abusers or drug addicted people are Surinamese. Merely of the single mothers are Surinamese. Merely of the dropouts are Surinamese. You know? And yes, and then you think there must be something wrong. Why? Why is merely of all negative things that are going on in the country? All those negative merely is Afro-Surinamese. But we are the first one who came here. The indigenous people were already here when we came.
Now, when you say that you were the first ones that came here, other than the Amerindian, you talk about slavery.
Yes.
Go into that a little bit for us about slavery here.
No, slavery in Suriname was very cruel. That's why we have Maroons, because of the cruelty of slavery. And yes, the Maroons, they fled to the interior, and that's why they did not have to deal with the Dutch people. And every time they attacked the plantations and to take captives women, because they had to spread themselves, they had to make children, you know. So they took women to the interior. And yes, we had the Spaanse Bok. The Spaanse Bok was a treatment, a very cruel treatment of the slaves. That if you have a 3 Spaanse Boks, that is a sort of cruelty where they beat you on one piece of butt. A lot of times until your flesh is taken apart. Your flesh is taken apart, and then they beat you at the other butt, at the other piece of the butt. And they do that on every corner. If you have a 3 Spaanse Bok, Spaanse is Spanish, Bok is, I don't know what Bok is in English, but Spaanse Bok, 3 Spaanse Bok is means on 3 corners of the street. You were beaten. And yes, if you look at the pictures of slavery, then you see that they put a hook also in your bones and
When you say your bones, you mean your ribs?
your ribs
For what reason?
to hang you up.
Ah, I did see a picture of that in Brazil, of a slave being hung up by the side. I didn't understand it at the time.
Yes, to hang you up. You know, and at the sugar plantations, you had to work very hard, and sometimes the slaves were very tired, and then they fall asleep. And if they fall asleep, then they fall in the where a very big pan, and then they fall in the pan, and they were cooked alive.
Wow. Now, here in Suriname, if I'm not mistaken, there's several several nations. You had the Spanish and Dutch, I believe, and the British, I think.
Yes, you have several population groups. You have the Javanese, the Hindustanis, you have the Amerindians, you have the Afro-Surinamese. There are descendants of slave masters, the Dutch. You have now Haitians here, and you have Brazilians here. You have Lebanese people here also. And all those population groups talk their own language. They have their own language. But you have one binding language, and that is Surinamese. That is the street language. It's the language that every population groups know. And then you have Dutch. Dutch is the official language. The language of the school, the language of parliament, the language of the officers, the government officers. But if you are in the street, you have to talk Surinamese.
Okay. So, now, let's get into your journey and what led you on your journey before you got to Israel, the understanding that you're Israelite. Before that, you wanted to research yourself, right? So let's start there.
Yes. I was a member of the National Reparations Commission. And the chairman of the Reparations Commission told me, yes, go and follow a course about rewriting of history. And I followed that course, and at the end of the course, the teachers asked us to write an essay about some part of history. And I thought, okay, I will go and search for the history of my people. And my people is the Afro-Surinamese. I will go and search for the history of Afro-Surinamese. And I went to the National Archive and to find the history. But I do not want to know the history from the plantation on, because I know that history at school. I wanted to know before we came to the plantation. And I asked the people of the archive where I can find it, if they have it. And they told me, no, you will not find it here. I asked them why. They told me, yes, because white people wrote your history and they were not interested in where you came from. And I asked them, so my history began at the plantation? Yes. So, no, I refuse to take that. I don't believe it. There has to be something before that. And I want to know that something before that. Well, I cannot find it in the National Archive. Now, then I went to Google. You can ask Google everything. And yes, and I didn't ask Google it in Dutch. In fact, I asked Google it in Dutch and I didn't find anything in Dutch. Because Dutch only, the Netherlands speak Dutch. And Suriname speak Dutch. And there are a lot of countries in the world, more than 200 countries. So I began to search in English. And then when I began to search in English, I found that I found my identity. I found the identity of my people, and I was astonished in the beginning. You know, I found websites of the USA, and I saw, no, the people of USA know that for more than 20 years what their identity is. You know, and they put it on Facebook, they put it on YouTube, they put it on the internet, and that's why I found my identity. And when I found my identity, or the identity of my people, I was, in fact, I was, in the beginning, I was enthusiastic. But later I was, yes, I was astonished, and I began to cry, to know what happened with my forefathers, to know that they left their God, their beautiful God, their mighty God, the God that loved them so much, that do so much things for them, that do so much wonders for them. And then I began to cry, and then I began to tell people, I am a Christian for 30 years, and I am in church for 30 years. 3 days a week at a Bible study, you know, at the prayers and at Sunday worship. And I began to tell the people, and the people didn't want to listen to me.
What did you tell them?
I told them we are the Israelites. I told them we are the people of the Bible. I told them that they brainwashed us. I told them that Christianity is a religion. It is not of God. That is not what is written in the Bible. I told them that they twist everything for us that is written in the Bible. They didn't want to listen to me. And because they didn't want to listen to me, then it came into my head, write it in a book. I write it in a book. Then people will read the book, and then they will listen. And then I wrote it in a book because I am a journalist, and I did investigative journalism, literary studies, interviews, and literary studies, interviews I did, and observation. And we have the Maroons here. I begin to observe. The Maroons are not brainwashed. The people of town are brainwashed. I began to observe. And I saw, no, we are the people of the Bible. And I wrote it in that book.
How long did it take?
It took me 3 years.
3 years. Now, did you come across any persecution? You had friends. Did any of your friends turn against you because of what you're saying?
I have friends. I am not friends with them anymore because of, this message. I have a sister. She don't want to talk. She doesn't want to talk to me anymore because of this. I lost people who I was very close with because of this message. People don't want to be with me anymore. You know, people left me, but I found other people.
Now, politicians here or other people started to call you false, or what was the term they called you?
They called me false preacher. But I say, I am not a preacher. I am a journalist, and I did the research. And if you think that it was not proper, or the things that I say there was not good or so, then you have to write another book. I did a research. It was a research, and I didn't even tell my own words. I only put facts. You know, it was facts on facts on facts on facts. And in fact, I didn't even draw a conclusion in the book. But if you read the book, you will draw your own conclusion. And your conclusion will be that people who are descendants of African slaves, of people from African descent, are Israelites. That will be your conclusion. Only facts are in the book. And if you say that it is wrong, then you have to write another book. And people, even they don't want to read the book. They just say it is wrong. And then I was robbed. And yes, I was asleep. And I woke up and I saw 3 Afro-Surinamese men in my room. And I started to, I yelled, Father, Father, because I was calling my Heavenly Father to protect me. And then one of the robbers, he ran, and then he punched me on my eyes.
Can I see eyes?
He punched me on my eyes. If you see, there is a black spot beneath my eyes. And there was another one. Beside me, there was one who punched me at my right side, and on my left side was another one. And then he told me, be quiet. No, and I was quiet. And they put a rope on my hands and a rope on my feet and a rope and something on my mouth so that I could not speak, but I could think. That was the only thing that they could not take away from me, because they also put something on my eyes so that I could not see them. And what I was thinking was, Father, my life. Father, my life. Father, my life, for half an hour. And the Father, the Most High, He spared my life. They went with my car, with my laptop, they went with my telephones, they went with my microwave, my ventilator, they went with everything that they could bring with them. And they asked me, where is your money? And I told them I don't have money. Okay, and then they left with my car and everything I had. So at once I was a beggar, because I didn't have anything anymore to do my work. I am a freelancer. I work with my laptop. With my laptop I make my money, and if I do not have a laptop I cannot make money. And at once I was in a dependent state. And yes, and that was because of the robbers. And many of the people in prison are also Afro-Surinamese. And it were 3 maroon persons, young men of 25 years. And a day after the robbery, when I woke up, it was in my head, this issue will not be unpunished. And the police find the robbers. They find my car, but it was totally stripped. I cannot use it.
Here's my question, because with some sisters, or even brothers, when they go through a traumatic event like that, they tend to hate their people. But I don't sense that spirit within you.
No, in the beginning, at least for the first week, I couldn't see black men approaching me. I was immediately afraid for black men. And I told myself, how can I be afraid of black men? I am a black woman. How can I be afraid of black men? But I was very afraid of them. I couldn't look at them eyes. I was afraid. But I began to pray, and I prayed, and I prayed. the Lord or the Most High, I prayed for his restoration. I couldn't sleep in my house for 2 months. I slept with the niece for 2 months. But I cannot sleep with my niece forever. I have to sleep in my home. And I am a single mother. I live alone, but I have to live in my own home. And I couldn't live in my own home. And I didn't want to go to a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist. I didn't want to go to a psychiatrist. I went to a psychiatrist once. And she was very proud of me because I am a positive thinker. As soon as negative things comes in my head, I threw it away and I put positive things in my head. And she was very proud of that. She said, "No, you don't need me anymore. Just continue praying." And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and now I can sleep in my house. I am sleeping now for 2 weeks in my own home.
So tell us now, how did you get from that point in your life, which was a short time ago, up to meeting at IUIC?
And then I follow IUIC on YouTube. I don't go to a church anymore.
But wait a minute. Before you met IUIC, or founded, there's another Israelite camp here that was in the news called GMS. The kids that got arrested. Because I heard the news covered the whole island. What happened with that? Because we weren't here.
Yes, they were very rude.
Give their name. What's the name?
GMS. I don't know what GMS means, but I know what is, a branch of a camp in USA, and they are very rude. They were cursing the women. They were cursing everybody who has another religion, and yes, people don't like that. And that's why, police took them out of the street. They were young boys. They were young boys, and they have to learn a lot before they go to the street. They were not ready to go to the street to teach people. They have to learn a lot before they do that.
Okay. So what led you to IUIC?
And then I have a friend in the Netherlands, and we called each other every day for 3 years now. And he told me about a Facebook friend that he has, a woman from IUIC. And then we talked about IUIC, and I know IUIC because I follow those videos and the Bible studies of IUIC, because I don't go to church anymore for 3 years. I only follow Bible studies, also from IUIC. And when he talked to me about IUIC and a woman which he is a Facebook friend with, I told him, I met somebody of IUIC, because when I wrote my book, people are calling me, people are trying to get in contact with me, and there was one guy of IUIC who emailed me. I have on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, and through my YouTube channel, he emailed me. And yes, and I thought, once one person from IUIC emailed me. And then I went to my email, I told them, it was in 2015. And then I typed in the search box of my email, IUIC, and I immediately get to the email of that guy, and then I asked that guy, are you in Suriname? Is IUIC in Suriname? Because in fact, I want to have a congregation. I want to meet people who are thinking the same like me and who are serving the same God as me. And he responded immediately, but he is living in the Netherlands now. And then he gave me the number of Soldier David of IUIC Suriname. And he gave Soldier David my telephone number too. And he called me and he invited me to come to a congregation or a meeting of IUIC. I didn't went immediately because I had no car anymore. You know, I had no transportation and I lived far away, a 1 hour drive before you come to town, and their meetings were in town. I couldn't go. And then he told me, he asked me via WhatsApp that IUIC headquarters is coming to Suriname. I said, oh. And then I asked him, I want to do their media campaign because I am a journalist. I am an older one. I am a senior journalist. I have a publicity bureau, you know. And my bureau is also conducting media campaigns. I am a professional in that. And yes, I am a child of the Most High, and people of the Most High are coming here. So I saw it as my duty, yes, to offer my experience, to offer my profession, you know, to do the media campaign. And I offered them because I know that I don't think that they will have a professional like me in their organization to do such a job. I offered, and he accepted.
No praises. Thank God for that. Now, you were giving us some heavy information about Suriname, the interior. You were talking about the various tribal groups. That's new to us. Most people in America have never heard of this. Some have, but most have not. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we have different tribal groups in Suriname. Maroons. You have the Auca tribe, the Njukas. And when I introduced my book to the chief of the Njukas, the Auca tribe, he told me, yes, everything what you say there in that book is true. We are the descendants of Judah. We are one of the 12 tribes of Israel. And Njuka means we Jewish souls. And we hide our name, Jews, in our tribe name to forecome further persecution. So the Njuka Auca tribe is one of them, and you have the Saramaka tribe, one of the other Maroon tribes. You have the Quinties, you have the Matu warriors. You know, so there are different Maroon tribes in the interior who fled slavery, and they are not brainwashed. They are living in the interior for more than 200 centuries. And
how long does it take to get there?
To go to the interior, it is dependent on where you go, but you cannot go by road. There are no roads. You have to go by boat or by plane. Some places near Brazil, you have Amerindian tribe, indigenous tribe, where you cannot reach by boat. You have to reach them all only by air, by plane.
Okay, and the various languages that they speak.
There are a lot of languages that we speak here in the country. Every population group has their own language, but there's one binding language, and that is Surinamese, and that is the street language. And you have Dutch, and that is the official language, the language of parliament, the language of schools, and the language that we as Afro-Surinamese talk in our homes. In the past, if you talk Surinamese language, you have to wash your mouth. You were not allowed to speak Surinamese, because if you speak Surinamese, you cannot talk proper Dutch, and people want to have their children talk proper Dutch, so Surinamese was not allowed. But if you are in the street, you are talk Surinamese, because then you can talk with all the population groups. There are groups who cannot talk Dutch. There are Maroon groups that cannot talk Dutch. Hindustani people, a lot of them cannot talk Dutch, only Surinamese. The Chinese is one of the population groups also. They cannot talk Dutch, especially the Chinese who just came to the country several years ago. The first immigrants, because after slavery, they brought in immigrants, and the first immigrants who came to Suriname after slavery were the Chinese, and then the Hindustanis, and then the Japanese.
Now, the Hindus, I heard some time ago there was a report that they said that they were treated as equally bad as the Afro-Surinamese, and that's not true.
That is not true. They were not treated equally bad as the Afro-Surinamese, as the slaves. The slaves, after slavery, they got nothing. They just went. You know, they were not paid for their work. But the immigrants, they got paid for their work, and they get land for their work. But the slaves, the descendants of the slaves, or the slave who got free, they didn't have nothing. They didn't have land, they didn't have food, they didn't have nothing, no money, nothing. And you can read it also in my book, how they were treated. And yes, there is a Surinamese writer who said it was better that they took them back to the ocean and threw them in the ocean. And that was Anton de Kom. It was a famous Surinamese writer. Anton de Kom wrote that in his book, We Slaves of Suriname. That's what happened with the slaves when they got free. And therefore, there is another writer, he did a research that is, he did a research for reparations. And he counted the money that the Europeans or the Netherlands owed the descendants of slaves for the free work that the slaves did here in Suriname. They have to pay us. They have to pay us reparations, the descendants of slaves, because the poverty of the enslaved people accumulate to the descendants, and the richdom of the slave masters accumulate to their descendants. The richdom of the slave masters is going from father to son, and the poverty went to father to son of the enslaved people. That's why we are the most impoverished people in this country.
I want you to tell us about you set up a TV show for us for a live debate. Tell us why the debate fell apart, what happened.
Now, and so, yes, when IUIC headquarters was in Suriname, or before they came to Suriname, I told the Surinamese Union of Journalists, we had a general meeting, and I told them, well, Okay, I am a journalist, but I am not an active journalist anymore. I am a senior one. I am not active anymore. I earn my money with other side things besides journalism. But I am still a journalist because, yeah, that's my study. And I cannot do anything else as journalism. But don't be mad at me, you know, if I do other things. That if I, yes, do a media campaign for IUIC headquarters. And yeah, and the chairperson was very fond of that, and she said, hey, then we can do a debate. Let's organize a debate for them, a debate with the Christian leaders, and yes, and there was a discussion. Yes, let's ask also the Jewish community because we have a large Jewish. Oh yes, the Jews are also one of the population groups in Suriname. We have a large population. Let's do a discussion. Okay, and we settled. There was a commission established, and I was responsible for that commission. And I told the commission, no, I do not want to have a discussion. I want to have a debate, because a debate is intellectual, you know, and it is more than a discussion. Let's have a debate. And yes, and they tried to find some Christian leaders, but none of them wanted to come, I think. Me, myself, I invite some Christian leaders. They even bothered to contact me or to answer me or to respond on my email, you know. So it was on hold. The chairperson, the president of the journalism union, she put it on hold, and I told her, no, if you say it is on hold, that means it will not go on anymore. It is finished. So it was finished. So no live debate anymore on TV.
But there was 3 people that originally was on it.
Yeah.
One of them got arrested, or a warrant was issued.
We wanted to ask Steve Mayer. He is one of the leader of the Pentecostal Church. But yes, then he was arrested. He was not arrested, but he got involved with a sexual issue. And yes, we cannot have such a person in a debate. So we had to find another person.
Now, did anyone agree, others agree, and then dropped out?
No. They just didn't respond to our invitations. So, okay, then we conclude the debate is off. But then IUIC headquarters say, okay, let's have another setting. Let's have a live discussion also with the nation. And therefore, there is now a live television program with the nation, where the nation can call in and ask questions after they heard the message what IUIC wants to bring to them. Because they heard the message when I had several readings, when I wrote my book, when I introduced my book. But not enough.
What's the name of the book?
The name of the book is The Hebrew Identity. I wrote it in English. I wrote it in Dutch, and I translated in English. And yes, in the foreword you will read the persons who I thanked, and there was a American lady because English is not my native language, and I don't know if it was a proper translation. And I asked her to read it for me, and she corrected for me in proper English. And she was a pastor's wife, a normal Christian pastor's wife. And she found that, I don't know if she got repented when she wrote, when she read the book. I don't have her name anymore, but it is written in my foreword. I mentioned her, and I still owe her. When I get rich because of the book, I will pay her.
Now they will see the true men of God. We are not black men, we are Israelites. That's right. Take care of us. Take care of us. And our children too. And our children too. We have repented. We have repented. How about you? How about you? People want to know who's the king.
O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew, it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sound wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.